What's up, YTPC? This is DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video. I am, as you can see, in a different location. It's a different change of scenery. I'm house sitting right now, so that's why I'm not on my porch. But with that being said, this is a pipe tobacco review, and it's on Haunted Bookshop. I know I've been trying to get a video out, but haven't had the opportunity until now. So there it is. That's the last little bit of it that's left. It's a blend by Cornell and Deihl. Excuse me. It's a blend by Cornell and Deihl. A lot of people classify this as a burley blend because even though it has burley, Virginia, and Perique in it, which on paper that would make it a vapor burr, a Virginia burley Perique blend, the burley is so dominant in this blend that a lot of people classify it as a burley blend. I find that the Perique in this blend is heavy enough that if one wanted to, they could technically call it a burper, a burley Perique blend. It's entirely up to you. For the sake of simplicity, we will refer to this as a burley blend because that seems to be the common or favorite category that people like to put this in. I'm going to do something a little bit different than I normally do from my reviews. Usually I show you guys what the blend looks like and then I take a whiff out of the jar. What I've noticed in doing that, though, is you lose a lot of the aroma from the jar because I leave the jar open and talk too long. So as soon as I get this open, I'm going to get a good whiff of it while it's still contained inside of the jar. Right away, dried fruit. Not real super sweet and pungent. There's also a woodiness to it. And kind of a mustiness as well. This is a very dry, very coarse cut. You guys can see that. So with that being said, let's get into the smoking mechanics. Grab my cheat sheet here. So like I said, it's a very dry blend. It's actually barely on the dry side of smokable. As you can probably make out, it makes quite a bit of noise because it's so dry. Let me grab some. Yeah, I can actually feel it between my fingers. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it crackles a little bit. That being said, I haven't heard of a lot of burley blends that come wet, and this is certainly no exception. I haven't made any attempts to dry it out because it smokes pretty close to what I would expect a heavy burley blend to smoke. And it just doesn't seem necessary. So, with this very dry blend, being a burley blend, it doesn't really bite. But that being said, it will light very easily. Being a coarse cut blend like it is, it tends to form a lot of thick ash, as opposed to, say, a ribbon cut blend or a what's the other cut? The finer cuts of tobacco. Anyway, compared to those cuts of tobacco, this blend produces a lot thicker ash to it. So once you get about halfway down, maybe 2/3 of the way down, you kind of have to remove the ash from the bowl. But once you do that, it'll smoke fairly easily with very few relights, and even if you do have to relight it, it relights very easily. That being said, unlike most dry, finer cuts, this cut, this coarse cut, and it being as dry as it is, it doesn't like to pack very well. Because it's so coarse and because it's so dry and inflexible, once you get it packed down and you kind of like tap on the bowl to get everything level and shakes up the bowl a little bit to get it to settle, it really doesn't compress down all that much. And that being said, the tobacco will expand quite a bit. So it doesn't really need to be packed down super tight, or even really as tight as you would pack most other cuts. Let's see what else. Full body, full strength, medium full flavor, little chewy on the smoke. It's a little harsh. It's definitely more harsh than normal, but I think one of the bigger complaints about this blend was its harshness. For what it is, it's not that bad. I guess compared to, like a Virginia Perique or or especially like a Latakia blend, an English blend or a Balkan blend. Yeah, it's way more harsh than that, but for what it is, it's really not that bad. It's not very picky about chambers and how the flavors interact with the different chamber dimensions, at least what I've noticed. That being said, it does smoke a hell of a lot better, smoking mechanic wise, in a much wider bowl. A 320, it will suffice. My Savory pot that I have smokes great in that too. It'll smoke in smaller pipes. Let me grab one of the pipes that I grabbed from my cabin. Like, it'll smoke just fine in this Dr. Grabo, even though this Dr. Grabo is relatively small in the chamber department, but because of how coarse the cut is, and just, basically just that, just how coarse the cut is, it doesn't seem to smoke its best in a smaller bowl. You need a much wider bowl, like I said, like a 320. So, with that being said, one more thing I want to add before I move on to the flavor profile. Because this tobacco is very dry, it doesn't really accumulate a lot of moisture. Obviously, if you're smoking this, out and about, it will, you'll accumulate some moisture, but not too much. It also has a relatively high nicotine to it. It's not uber high, but it's definitely noticeable, and if you're sensitive to nicotine, you're not going to like this blend. It is, of course, a favorite of Match's 860, and he is capable of handling blends that have such a high nicotine content. But if you like nicotine, this is a good blend for you. With all of that out of the way, let's go to the flavor profile. What I get out of this blend, of course I get the nuttiness from the burley, but the burley also has quite a bit of woodiness to it. Almost like an oak kind of woodiness. It's not the sweet cedar that you typically get from like a cigar that's been wrapped in a cedar sleeve, or some burley blends, I guess. It's a very deep woodiness to it. This blend also has quite a bit of mustiness to it. Kind of has an old, dusty feel to it. The spiciness adds quite a bit of character to it too. And that's kind of why I say it would be okay to classify this as a burley Perique blend, because the Perique does show itself in this blend. Especially in the beginning, after the after the true light, you'll get quite a bit of spiciness. Most of the spiciness is in the finish and the retrohale. The woodiness, the deep nuttiness, and the mustiness that you get That's all in the draw. That being said, I noticed the spiciness in this blend will kind of die down a little bit, and it gets replaced with quite a bit of earthiness. But it's a really good blend. If that's what you're looking for, Cornell and Deihl's Haunted Bookshop might be for you. With that being said, this has been DSG Pipe Smoker with another pipe smoking video. You guys have a good day.